welcome to another episode of the Not For Nothing podcast. As some of you have been following, the 9-month world cruise is chugging along.
They keep going.
They just keep going. Have you ever been on a cruise?
I have never been on a cruise, and I never want to be on a cruise.
I've only been on one cruise, and I never want to go on a cruise again.
I have like bad seasickness, so I don't think that would do well for me.
Yeah.
And I also am an introvert.
Yeah, no, the socializing aspect of a cruise, like, I want no parts of it.
No.
Especially because, like, you're just stuck somewhere with people from all walks of life. Truly all walks of life.
Yeah, like, if I could ensure that everybody there is going to be cool and my friend,
yeah. Like, if it's a themed cruise, like,
Weed
Reggae
themed.
on the River. Have you ever heard of that?
No.
Yeah, they have, like, a huge, like, reggae one. I think there's, like, comedy ones where, like, all these comedians go on.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
But no.
As well, I wouldn't do it. Yeah. So, do you have any predictions for how the rest of the 9-month tour will go?
I have a feeling it's going to end soon.
Yeah.
I feel like there's so much like bad things going on, and like they keep not being able to like dock in the ports, and like they weren't even able to like go to Antarctica like fully, which would be like the highlight. Like I would want to just do that. But I will say I'm very grateful for it existing because the content has just been exquisite.
It really has been.
It's been so entertaining to watch this like live reality TV happening.
Right. I will say what I get most hyper fixated on is this one woman. I think she's a chef, and she is talking and rating all of the food.
Yes, I've seen her too.
Really fun to watch.
And I can't say that the food looks that good.
No, it doesn't. And that's actually partially the reason I wouldn't go on a cruise.
Yeah, like, what is the thing to do when you're on a cruise? I guess like eat and go to meals, but it's like if the food is not good, then what are you doing?
No, it's really, really hectic. And like I went on a cruise, and it just, the food made me sick all the time, and that's also the reason I hate resorts.
Yeah, I don't think I would enjoy that experience.
Yeah, not for me. I'd rather pay a premium and get what I want.
But I like her content. It's pretty funny. And then I was loving Mark Sebastian's content, who was just...
I haven't seen it.
Oh my God. So he's gone now. So this was incredible. So
he's been voted off the island.
Yeah, basically. So this publishing house paid for his trip for, I think it was like 3 weeks or something, for like one leg of the trip.
Okay.
And part of it, I guess, was like also doing a book club. So that was really cute.
So he was half working,
but then giving us like really raw, uncensored content.
Wow.
And it was so funny because in one of the like videos he made, he's hosting this book club, but apparently they were in the like special lounge that they weren't allowed to be in. And somebody who was watching the live stream like on land called the ship to complain, and they got kicked out of the lounge. And so he's like live streaming this whole thing where security's like, I'm sorry, we like got a complaint from like land.
From land.
And it's just ridiculous. And then he had like this one segment where he took some Ambien and is like, I'm exploring the ship on Ambien. And
my God.
This is the content we came for.
Now that is the messiness I like.
And then he was leaving like little like trinkets for people to find. Like he was really giving us the good shit.
Wow.
And he was also like, first of all, culturally relevant in the sense that he would like make references to like, you know, voted off the island and like type stuff. So it was pretty funny to watch. Like I feel like he set the tone for the reality TV show that is now ensuing.
Yes, and it is really funny. There's a HBO show that had one season that came out, and it really reminds me of this whole tour. And it was a story about people who could go to space.
Oh.
And you're basically on a space cruise.
Yeah.
And the people got stuck up there and couldn't, apartment 5, something like that. I can't remember the
Not
whatever.
For me.
But it was like such a funny show, and it really is like foreshadowing to this 9-month cruise.
Honestly, yeah.
Like, because everything that's going down, like, a pregnancy.
I heard about that.
Crazy. All these things that are happening are like what happens kind of in the show. You know, even like, I don't want to say this, but somebody passing away.
But somebody did pass away on the
Somebody did?
Yeah.
No way.
I think in like the total beginning of the cruise.
What happened?
I don't know.
Oh, that is so scary.
Yeah.
Yeah. So 9 months wouldn't do it. I think, what's the longest you think you would last? Like, let's say you're in a situation where you're getting paid to be there. Like if you're
2
working.
weeks.
The most. Like,
most.
If you pushed, what if the money was so good?
I can't be having a period on the boat.
Yeah.
So 3 weeks max. Because then what if I'm like PMSing and shit? Then I'm like, I already get so nauseous when I'm PMSing.
Mm-hmm.
I think 2 to 3 weeks would be the max.
I think for good money, I'd be able to push myself to 2 months, but I'd definitely be crying every day.
It just, first of all, I don't have enough clothes for that. I haven't seen any content about laundry.
I mean, usually they have laundry on the ship because think about
But you
towels.
have to pay for it?
Well, you have to pay for it here.
But like, how much more? Like, is it out of?
Oh, I don't know.
You know what I mean?
I think it's like a housekeeping type of situation.
Like, if I'm paying for
That's
like
true.
fucking dry cleaning fees, basically equivalent.
You would end up having to
like,
wash your own clothes.
That's a lot of or is it included in your like package?
Yeah, 9 months. I can't imagine they wouldn't include laundry.
You know, I need to investigate that.
If I'm going somewhere for 9 months, everything better be all inclusive. Everything. Like everything.
Like I don't want to look at my wallet or my bank account.
Right. Wow, 9 months is just way too long.
The funniest is, I don't know if you've seen this woman who like loves pineapples.
No, I haven't seen her.
Okay, she loves pineapples and she's part of like the equivalent of like the Sky Miles, but of like.
Is she just a swinger? Because like
no, and now everybody thinks she's a swinger because she was like posting, you know, like her room tour, and then like she has little pineapple accessories everywhere, and then her video like blew up because everybody was like, oh my god, swingers on cruises are real. Like, we knew it. Like,
because it is a real thing. Like, they love, so swingers love vacationing.
Through her video, then there was like all these articles about like swingers on cruises, and then she was like, this is so funny because I literally just love pineapples.
Yeah, that's what they all say.
That's the story she's going with, because the like logo for the like club thing is a pineapple.
Wow.
But it's not a swingers club. So who knows? But apparently there are a bunch of swingers on this 9-month cruise currently.
There are?
Well, yeah, because they like made themselves known through this video. Like people were like stitching it and duetting it. Like,
imagine they're not, and their partner's at home, and they're like, we're not swingers. You're just away for 9 months, and I don't have access to you.
But also, if you're in a relationship with somebody who's going on a 9-month cruise without you,
you might be a swinger.
Like, are you really together?
Right. Very good question. Would you like to propose the question?
What is it?
About how we, you know, where we grew up and what that makes us.
Okay. Here's an existential question, which will really only apply to kids who grew up in the city. But as city kids, are we townies?
Okay. I think it depends where you grew up in New York.
Yeah.
So, like, in Bay Ridge, there are townies.
Okay.
I'll be totally honest.
I knew you were going to take it in that direction, too.
There are townies.
Because I've heard you refer to yourself sometimes. You were like, when you first moved back to South Brooklyn,
I felt like a townie.
Yeah, you were like, I feel like a townie. I'm back, like, with all my high school people.
Yes. But at that point, I was, like, feeling like I still... some angst about it. Like, I was like, I escaped and now I'm back. But now I'm feeling like a longing for it, where I'm like, this is pretty much where I would love to settle down. Yeah,
like there's a difference between community and...
Exactly.
And there's definitely, like, I think the term townie comes from like a, you know, kind of prejudicial, like obnoxious way of looking at people who are like just have a community.
Yeah, but it's also like people who never escaped or never got to experience outside of that community, which I think is like, it takes a lot of, it does come from a little bit of privilege, but it also comes from like you wanting to leave situation. You know, you have to like see the bigger picture and want to see the world and want to see like maybe what it feels like to start over in a new place. But it is like New York or nowhere, essentially. So it's like, it's a tough question because this is where I would want to be forever. And it is where shit is happening. But it's also, I do hold some judgment for the people who never left. And that doesn't mean that I want to go to the grocery store and run into people I went to high school with.
That's how I feel every time I'm back in New York too. I'm always just like this fine line between I love seeing the people I purposefully am trying to see.
Exactly.
But running into people like on the subway that I'm like, oh, hi.
Yeah.
But I did feel like a townie in college a little bit because I grew up in the city and then went to college in the city.
That's townie behavior.
And it was a little townie, but it's also like an amazing school and like why would I, you know?
And like you're also living like a college life, so it's a different kind of lifestyle where you're not as parentally controlled.
Yeah, exactly. But it's definitely like I would go to dinner at my parents' house every weekend. Like.
Right, totally. You know, I get it. Yeah, so I do agree that it's a fine line.
But now I'm not a townie because I've literally not lived in New York, and
that's true.
It's now I think been almost like 5 years, maybe 4.5 that I haven't lived in New York.
So if and when you come back to New York,
yeah,
do you think you'll be a townie? Or is it the fact that you left that makes you not a townie?
That's a great question. I don't know. We'll have to revisit when I move back. I also think it depends where. If I were to move like where my parents live, then I would.
Right. Because that's what I'm saying. Like it's like I'm moving where my mom lives.
Yeah.
And I feel like a townie, but I also now feel like this ownership of it where it's been long enough where I'm like, no, this is like I've reestablished my roots here. And although I never left New York. Like I've lived in other neighborhoods in New York.
Yeah.
In I've lived all over New York.
Honestly, you have.
I've lived in almost every single borough except actually I have lived in Queens, except the city.
Wow.
Every single borough but the city. And
it's okay, you're not missing much.
I can't afford it, so I'm not going to live there anyway. But it's like no matter what, me just simply leaving the neighborhood that I grew up in and also traveling a lot.
I think that's also the difference too. It's like if you've seen
outside of the world, like if you can get to know another neighborhood that's not your own very well.
Like the Bronx is not Brooklyn.
Not at all.
And it's not like Staten Island. And
Queens too. It's like they're also very different from each other. And like they take a different level of adaptation. And
Agreed.
Then there's also a time period where people 100% thought I lived in LA because I was there so much. So I'm like, no, I never permanently moved, but I did spend a lot of time traveling and working outside of New York where I felt that it gave me the experience to not be as townie as them.
It's okay. This is a townie safe space.
I'm a townie.
We're low-key both townies. Yeah, it's okay.
I'm all right with it. I'm starting to reclaim townie.
But that was definitely when I was younger. I felt more like pressure
stigmatized.
To not. Now I'm like, fuck it.
It's good to be home.
Like this is a great place to be.
I agree. And now it's almost the tides have turned so much where it's like, if you can still live and make it in New York, like you're doing something right.
Yeah.
Or you inherited a lot of money.
Yeah, or both.
Right. All right. So I just wanted to chat about our girl and like she's left jail, Gypsy Rose Blanchard. I was really excited for her to get out of jail, but now I'm starting to feel like it's all a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot. She posts on Instagram hundreds of times a day.
Wow, I don't see her on Instagram, but I see her on TikTok a bit.
She doesn't stop posting. It's constant. It's like almost like she's catching up.
That's
for
sad.
all of her missed time. Yeah. I feel as if it's like I'm starting to realize it's probably pretty bad that we're putting her in the spotlight.
Yeah.
And like for her mental health and for her like
healing, recovery.
Yeah. And it's like also like we're making her a hero for something that she just spent a lot of time paying for in jail. And it's like, it's a little bit scary. It makes me think like, you know, if she had all that trauma and healing and like jail and prison does like a terrible job at like rehabilitating people and their thinking patterns, who's to say she won't act like this again?
Yeah, like she has her moral compass and like thoughts are just so jumbled right now.
Yep.
She had no like actual parental view, like education. Like,
yep.
And so I'm just like, this poor girl is like just so deeply not well mentally.
Yep.
And physically, potentially also. And it's a lot. And I feel like the most dangerous is that like she was given such a platform. Everybody was like idolizing her. And then people started like flipping on her. Mm-hmm. And now she's kind of like not at the height of like her celebrity. Like she's kind of famous type stuff, but like I feel like she's going to be forgotten quickly as like most of these like fads happen. And at the end of the day, it's just going to be this like poor girl who is very confused, who did something that was like very intense. Right or wrong, that's not for like me to say.
Yeah.
But it happened and it was crazy. And my biggest question, all of this is like, people care so much now, but like, where was everybody when like this was actually happening? Like all these doctors and people who were around, like this is crazy. Like
it is. Her husband is also like a whole other.
And that's also confusing too, because like to me, she's still a child. Like she's
older than us.
No, I know, but like mentally, like
she's withdrawn.
She's like hasn't lived a full life experience of like growing up, and it just feels very predatory to like have this like person around.
I agree. I really completely agree. And I do feel like her husband is like, I don't know, because there's two sides of it. Like, one, he takes like a lot of abuse from her.
Yeah.
Like he does. Let me just say, like, Gypsy Rose is not Anna Delvey. You know?
But I feel like society tried to like make that a thing.
Same.
But at the end of the day, it's very different. Like I have my personal thoughts about Anna Delvey and whatever, but at the end of the day, she didn't really hurt anybody.
I agree.
Like I think that she's fucked. Like it's a fucked up situation, and it's not like something to like applaud or whatever. But like Gypsy
I love
Rose,
Anna Delvey.
I know, and that's what I was like. Some people really fuck with what she did.
She stole from like rich folks, and like she just misled people. You know, she was like sneaky in very strategic ways, but no one died.
Exactly, no one died.
I
think she's like kind of full of shit, and I don't love like how she's being like, she's such an icon. I'm like, no, she's a piece of shit. But like, so are so many other people.
Right, she's just a scammer.
But like, she's whatever. But Gypsy Rose is like committed a very serious crime.
Yeah.
And before that was made to be very ill, and like the amount of trauma and like psychological situation that's going on is crazy.
It is.
And people like really made her seem like a hero, and were like waiting out the jail like for her, and it's just, they don't think about the consequences of their actions.
Yep.
Like, this is a real person. It's not just like a social media like frenzy.
Yep. It's also crazy to see like just in real time. Like I watch like Love After Lockup and all of these things. So like I see this stuff happen where people, you know, they've served time. Like Gypsy Rose, she did 8 years.
Like that's a lot. That's not
8 years is a long time.
That's not like Lindsay Lohan doing like, or Paris Hilton, like
Martha Stewart, like a few weeks or months.
It's not like a house arrest for a few weeks.
Yep.
It's
at
a very young age for a long time.
Yeah, in her formative like 20s.
And also like it's a very traumatic crime too. Like
and post abuse.
Yeah, like it's a lot.
But seeing people adapt to social media is definitely one of my favorite things.
Yeah, like that's endearing to watch. Like her boomerness,
but also like I'm just like, what's wrong with you? Because she posted her little brother or cousin. Ladies, hit him up. He's single. I'm like, he's underage. What are you actually doing right now?
Yeah, like she really doesn't, she's not street smart at all, because she's never lived as an adult in the outside world.
Right. She's been sheltered her whole life. And that's why I think she chose to grip onto somebody who could guide her in life. And that's like her partner. Yeah, for better or for worse. So we'll see.
But yeah, I'm worried about this whole situation and about where it's going to lead to on her social media. It feels very Amanda Bynes.
Yeah. I feel like Amanda Bynes has been doing better, by the way.
Yes and no. Like, there was a moment where it felt like she was doing better, but I haven't seen recently. But there was a moment where I was like, wow, this is an alarming amount of posts.
Yes, agreed. She does have a mullet right now, which isn't great, but
it's a choice.
To each his own. To each their own.
But speaking of trends that are taking over the internet, because that's all we are obsessed with at the moment, our newest obsession is the jacket potato.
I love jacket potato.
Which is just a baked potato. Let's be
vegetarian classic.
Like, it's hilarious to watch Americans get so interested and like obsessed with a trend that is just a baked potato.
Baked potato with baked beans.
Which is incredible and delicious.
White trash and good and so good.
And I love watching these dudes in England make these jacket potatoes super quickly with all these toppings.
Would you eat a jacket potato with tuna?
I was about to ask you that. I don't know. I almost made one the other day because I had tuna and I had a jacket potato that I was making. And I was like,
with beans?
I didn't have beans. And so I was like, oh, should I do? I only had cheese and like butter and sour cream. And I was like, should I just put some tuna there too? Like make a little tuna salad for the potato? I didn't do it.
I want you to try it just so I can know.
I know, but here's the thing. People are going to be grossed out by this, but I feel like the tuna salad that they're putting on it is probably just so much better because it's like full of so much like mayo and like seasoning and like gross shit.
Yeah, but you're making it, so you can make it gross.
But I never make, like, you know, you always like,
yeah,
you're like, oh, this is enough. But
you're like, I want to make this edible.
Theirs is like so goopy, like,
ew. I can't. I don't think I'd ever put the tuna on it.
I don't know. I'm curious. I would want to like see it, but I do love like baked beans.
I love baked beans.
Yeah.
Vegetarian can of baked beans, the Heinz, so good.
So good.
Throw it on the stove for a few seconds, starts bubbling up, pour it right over, it'll melt your cheese. Amazing. Amazing. And I do want to say, I think it's absolutely critical to include red onion on a jacket potato, raw.
I've never thought of doing that, but I am intrigued and will do in the future.
I have a recipe on my Instagram and TikTok.
About doing red onion?
About a jacket potato that I made. Really freaking good. But you know the reason why they make jacket potatoes?
Well, yeah, you were just telling me about it. Explain more.
In England, apparently the ingredient quality is very low and like a lot of foods don't grow there very well. So like they have a surplus of like shitty quality potatoes and they just need to dress them up to make them taste better and more nutritious.
Yeah.
So they turn it, instead of making it into a side like other countries do, they turn it into their main meal. So they had to add a protein, which is like beans usually, or tuna, and cheese, and just like add some fat to make it like a full type of meal.
That's fascinating, and I feel like it's the root of a lot of foods that we like obsess over and like comfort foods. And I was telling Sarah about this, but like Jewish like Passover brisket, or like you can do it for Shabbat too, but everybody's always like, oh my God, what's the recipe? Like, this is so good. And I'm like, it's literally just like, it's ketchup, onion soup mix, like sugar. You put Coca-Cola in there. Like,
really? You
just put like anything that's going to be like an aromatic that will be like sweet and salty and sour. Because at the end of the day, you want it to just, first of all, back in the day when like all of this was happening, like, or like, let's say my family in Poland, like, you don't know where the meat's from, like you don't have money for the meat, so it could be old and it's like a huge slab, so it'll like feed everybody for a long time. And I was telling Sarah about this, but like having the oven on for, let's say, like 8 hours that you're slow cooking this, like it'll heat the whole house. So it's also kind of like a winter way of heating the house.
Do you put carrots in your brisket? Baby carrots.
Not baby carrots, sliced like big carrots.
I love the idea of baby carrots being in there. Because it's like, they just get perfectly soft.
I guess, but I don't love baby carrots.
What's the tea?
They're just like a little sweeter than normal carrots.
Yeah, that's what I like about them.
Yeah. I mean, I like baby carrots raw. I hate them cooked.
Oh, I was going to say cooked. They're so good.
No.
Okay, respect.
But there's like a lot of food like that. And I feel like fish and chips is the same. Like you're frying the fish because it's maybe not like the freshest.
Right. Yeah. Brits.
Yeah, they know what's up.
All right, listen, ladies, theydies, and he's. Tax season is coming right up.
It's coming up so quickly.
It is. So get your shit together if you haven't already. A reminder to our influencer friends, your information is out there.
Yeah.
For the world to see. If you're making commissions on TikTok Shop, whatever you're doing to make money, report it.
You're going to have to.
Like, you have to do it. Like, especially if it's out there for the world to see. I have heard, I haven't filed my taxes yet. I'm usually a late bloomer.
But we have time.
Yeah. I sometimes even file an extension.
Yeah, that's okay.
So we'll see. But I just got over finishing my payment plan from last year.
Congratulations.
Thanks. But again, tax season is upon us, so we're about to start the cycle again. I heard that the federal taxes this year are higher.
I need to look into that. I don't know much.
A lot of people are saying that they are caught by surprise. They're like, I usually get money back and now I owe. And they made the same amount of money and then inflation. So it's like, we need to be cut a break. I do think that is absolutely necessary. But watch this space, look out for it, open an LLC if you can.
Yeah.
Get deductions where you can. And if possible, try to keep as much out of your paychecks as possible, reserving it for taxes, because you're going to have to pay them anyway.
I know, it always sucks. And every year I'm like, damn, I really should have put like more money aside gradually.
Yep.
But you have to do it. And all of those commissions that you made, it's public. People know that you had a paid partnership. So pay your taxes, even though it sucks, because it pays for salaries to teachers.
Yep.
But on that note, it's a pleasure as always. And we will see you next week.
We will see you next Tuesday. Follow, like, and subscribe to the pod, please. Watch us across all your favorite platforms. You could follow me at How Can I Help You?
You can follow me at Natasha PRZ.
See you on Tuesday.
Bye.
Bye.